Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. You know, we always like to get right into it, so let's dive right in. We've got a really fascinating piece of history to unpack today.
Absolutely.
Donald Trump's second inaugural address,
Hmm.
delivered just yesterday, January 20th, 2025.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
who would have thought 8 years later we would see a second act? Really sets the stage for what could be a truly defining chapter in American politics.
It certainly does. And what's so interesting here is we're seeing a leader return to power with a very specific agenda shaped by the events of the past 8 years and this clear vision for the future.
Totally. And I know this speech, it's going to stir up some strong feelings out there.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to put those aside today.
Absolutely.
We're going to focus on what's actually being said, no opinions, just straight analysis. Like we're cracking open this political time capsule.
I like that.
We're trying to understand the message, not debate it.
Precisely.
All right, so one of the first things that really struck me about this speech was the optimism of it all.
You know, he's talking about a golden age for America, while at the same time acknowledging some pretty serious challenges that the country is facing.
Right.
It's a really fascinating contrast.
It is, and I think that contrast is really key to understanding the overall strategy of this speech. You know, he's presenting himself as this leader who can navigate these challenges and deliver on this promise of a brighter future.
It's like we've been through the fire, but now it's time to rise from the ashes.
Right.
Kind of message. And he's not shying away from bold pronouncements.
No.
I mean, he's framing this election as this total rejection of the radical and corrupt establishment.
Yeah.
And he's promising a whole wave of change.
There's a definite populist undercurrent there, you know, appealing to those who feel disenfranchised or disillusioned with the status quo.
So before we get into specifics, can you just kind of give us a bird's eye view of what are the big themes that run through this speech?
Absolutely. I think one of the most dominant themes is this idea of American exceptionalism and this idea of revival.
He's not just talking about making America great again. He's talking about reclaiming its place as this undisputed leader on the world stage.
So make America great again 2.0.
Exactly.
But how does he plan to do it?
That leads us to the second major theme, which is economic nationalism and protectionism.
Okay.
Huge focus on American industries, reducing our reliance on foreign countries, bringing back manufacturing jobs. It's all about prioritizing American economic interests above all else.
Sounds a lot like that Fortress America idea that's been floating around.
It does have echoes of that, and it ties directly into that third major theme, national security and border control.
Okay.
A substantial portion of the speech is dedicated to addressing immigration and border security, promising aggressive action against illegal immigration and criminal organizations.
This is where he declares a national emergency at the border, right?
Yes, that's right. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
When it comes to his plans for border security.
And he also hinted at some pretty big changes in terms of, you know, culture and values.
Absolutely. And that's our fourth major theme, cultural conservatism and traditional values.
Okay.
He touches on themes of family faith and what he perceives as this rejection of radical ideologies. It's a clear attempt to solidify his base and draw a line in the sand.
All right, so I've got the lay of the land now. Let's zoom in on some of the specifics. You know, you flagged some pretty interesting quotes from the speech. What really jumped out at you?
Well, one that really encapsulates that American exceptionalism theme is this line, "The golden age of America begins right now." It's bold, incredibly optimistic, especially considering that he's just acknowledged some serious challenges the country is facing.
Yeah, talk about a power move. It's like he's saying, don't worry, I got this.
Exactly.
What about on the economic front? Any lines that really sum up his approach there?
Oh, absolutely. There's this classic Trumpian line, "America will be a manufacturing nation once again. We will drill, baby, drill."
Yeah.
About revitalizing American industry energy independence and a clear rejection of anything that he sees as hindering those goals.
Yeah.
You know, things like environmental regulations.
And he was pretty explicit about that, you know, directly calling out things like the Green New Deal and electric vehicle mandates.
Yeah.
It's like he's sending a very clear signal about where his priorities lie.
It seems that way he's speaking directly to specific groups here, blue-collar workers, those in more traditional energy sectors, people who may feel that their interests have been overlooked in recent years.
Now let's talk about that national emergency declaration at the border. He didn't mince words there. He said, "I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country."
And this is where things get really interesting. He's not just talking about policy here. He's tapping into deeper anxieties about national security and cultural identity. The use of the word invasion is particularly striking.
Definitely loaded language. What do you make of his claim that he'll sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America?
This is another area where he's playing to concerns that have been building for years, especially among conservatives who feel that their voices are being silenced in certain spaces. It's about positioning himself as this champion of free speech and individual liberty.
It's interesting because he's also weaving in this narrative of being a victim,
Yeah.
claiming that the Justice Department and the government have been weaponized against him and his supporters.
Right.
It's like he's the outsider coming in to clean up a corrupt system.
That's a powerful narrative,
Yeah.
especially for those who feel that the system isn't working for them. It taps into a sense of distrust and disillusionment with institutions.
Okay, so we've covered the big picture themes and some really striking quotes. But what about the concrete policy proposals? What are some of the specific things he's saying he'll actually do?
Well, one of the most concrete proposals is the establishment of a new Department of Government Efficiency. He's positioning this as a way to streamline bureaucracy and eliminate waste.
And then there's that whole thing about reclaiming the Panama Canal.
Right.
I have to admit that one really caught me off guard.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the bolder pronouncements in this speech.
Yeah.
He's essentially arguing that the U.S. made a mistake by giving control of the canal to Panama, and that it's time to take it back.
Wow. I mean, that's a huge statement, both practically and symbolically. What do you think the implications of something like that could be?
The implications are massive.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about potential international disputes, economic fallout, maybe even military conflict. It's a move that would send shockwaves through the global community.
It would definitely put America first, but at what cost? And it's not the only ambitious goal he's setting. He also mentioned sending astronauts to Mars.
Yeah, that's another one that really grabbed my attention. It's a classic appeal to national pride and a reminder of America's history of pushing boundaries.
It's like a throwback to the space race, a way of saying America is back and we're aiming